It is Sunday morning, and once again, this is Sunday Morning Live with Damien Calment. Although this is being taped earlier and being played remotely for you today, we are continuing in our talk on addiction and healing of the inner child. But just for a moment, let's go within. Let's go within and center ourselves. Let's let everything that's happened this week, the news, the drama that's gone on, let's just put it aside and let's just go in to the internal temple where we live. You know, I mentioned last week that the inner child lives right where the third chakra is, right here, right in here above the stomach. So let's take a deep breath. Breathe in goodness. Breathe in gratitude. Let's breathe in some forgiveness today. Anything that is not of God, not of goodness, not of lovingness, anything that is anxiety, let's breathe it out. Let's let it go, so that we can be filled with that light of the Holy Spirit in our life that gives us the guidance, that gives us the wisdom, how to heal our life, how to live our life, how to be the person that we were meant to be. In this moment, let's just feel this light touching us from the top of our head as we keep breathing to the bottoms of our feet, filling us, filling us, filling us with goodness, filling us with kindness. For kindness is an attribute that the blind can see and the deaf can even hear. Filling us with that love for ourselves and for all mankind. Filling us with that healing energy. See it going into your inner child right now as we talk. So continuing the talk on healing the inner child with regards to addiction. Last week I had said that all addiction is caused by pain. And in that pain, how does one know when their inner child is healed or able to move forward? It's because you're able to talk about the pain without feeling the pain. And when I had talked about for instance, when you're mistreated or when you're abused or when you're not heard. When I was maybe 3 years old, my mother poured hot grease on I went to go on my head. I ducked and it left a big scar on my back. Now I can talk about that now because there's no pain, and it's a memory. And when I was maybe 4, one of her boyfriends at Christmas time took a pistol and put a bullet in it and put it in my butt, and there was only a bullet in the chamber, and played Russian roulette. Now I can talk about that now, where there's no pain and there's no shame. But for many years I used drugs and various things to cover up the pain that I was feeling there, and sometimes I didn't even know what the pain was. I just knew that I hurt. And there came a time when I was using the drugs, but then there came a time when I came to the realization that I needed to surrender to a power greater than myself, which is a power that I call God. God as I understand God to be. And as I said previously, God is not a him, because he's not a man that he should lie, as the Bible says, but God is a spirit. And spirit can take in many forms, and took on a healing form for me. But one of the things that I did not realize was that although I had these memories and the healing was going, I still had the memories. I also am prone to suffer from what the Mayo Clinic calls a seasonal affective disorder, which you can Google that, which is that every year during certain seasons, then depression is something that happens to me. So for me, it's right after Halloween till where my birthday starts at the end of January. You know, I was burnt by my mother during that time. I tried to commit suicide during that time. I had on Christmas Eve, when her boyfriend was putting the pistol in me and pulling the trigger during that time. Every horrific thing that has happened in my life happened during those moments. Now, even though in my life that I function, I do well, I'm doing great, I understand that there's no pain there anymore, but the memory is still there because of the seasonal affective disorder. The depression is prone to set in. So what I do is every single year I know that that season is coming. I am awareness. Awareness is the key to you living the best life that you can live. So being aware of this, about September, around Labor Day, I start gathering the tools, gathering my affirmations, gathering my self-help books, gathering the time that I'm going to go to more groups, gathering the time that I'm going to give more to outreach, because it is during this time that I understand that the memories of that inner child are going to creep up. And if I do not keep on showing love, keep on consciously being aware of it, that I would be prone to slip into an area of depression, which has happened when I tried to commit suicide, to where I closed the drapes and didn't want to open them and decided I needed to get off the planet. It's a whole different story. But in order for me to deal with this, I have certain tools that I use now. And although the pain isn't there, sometimes the memory itself can be painful, although the incident isn't there, if you understand what I'm saying. So in order to be able to work with the memory in a positive way, I pull these various tools out of my toolbox, what I call my toolbox, and they're different for each person. Sometimes the tools can be therapy. Sometimes the tools can be a 12-step groups that you're going to at this time. Now, what I understand about addiction is this, that while we accept responsibility for our own individual addiction, there is also what is called a family karma addiction. And I remember one time I was in a bookstore and a book fell on my head and it was about karma. And the only thing I knew at that time was that, karma's going to get you. But as I began to study and learn about 20 different types of karma, I also began to understand that we have DNA, and our certain DNA comes from our parents, and that DNA lineage carries on to our relatives, and that while we have individual DNA, there is a plant DNA that keeps going on backward. And if a relative had a certain type of addiction, or if they were even predisposed to a suicide, then that sometimes can skip a generation, and we can be the ones that are recipient of that particular strain that comes to us. Now, a lot of you may not believe in a higher level or a higher consciousness, but let me just say this, that because we live in a three-dimensional world, we cannot see the higher consciousness or the higher vibration, as I talk about in quantum physics and quantum mechanics, and in a duality of worlds that are going on. However, that doesn't make it any less real. The spiritual world can see what's going on in the physical world, although we cannot see what's going on in the physical world. So in order for us to be healed of some of the family karma, then we need to be able, through the light of the Holy Spirit, which is just as powerful as taking a pill of some kind, the light of the Holy Spirit, to what I call extend the golden rope to the relatives of the past, connect with them, and get the wisdom from them of how to handle the situation in our life today. For you see, Einstein said energy, everything is energy. Energy can never be destroyed, only altered. And the energy that is on this planet is an eternal energy that goes on and on and on. It's the body that ceases to be, but who we are continues to go. The book of Hebrews talks about there is a great cloud of witnesses that have gone on before us. That great cloud of witnesses, as it talks about in the original, is typified as an arena where they're sitting around cheering us on, saying we can make it. So we have not lost anybody in our life. They're still there. We still can connect with them. So for us to be able to deal with areas that are going on in our life, and actually to break a karmic addiction or break a karmic habit, we can throw that golden rope out and talk to Uncle Joe and say, Uncle Joe, when you were going to do such and such, or when you were da-da-da, whatever it was, I need to know your thoughts on it so that I can make sure that I break this family karmic addiction right now in our chain and in our life and in our lineage. And when we're able to do that, we can send a lot of love that way. Now, I was able to let go of the drugs. That wasn't a problem. But I also ended up with a sex addiction. I could go to counseling, I could go to 12-step, nothing stopped the sex addiction. I mean, I had a revolving door. There was not even any door. And when I realized and went back and I looked at my father being a womanizer and my mother being a prostitute, and I looked at the behavior, the things they were in, and was able to relate that and my addiction in it as a karmic curse that was happening, a karmic addiction, then I was able in that instance, and it was almost like a miracle, I was able in that instance, the moment I realized it, to send love and light to both of them, to break the curse, to break the generality that had been coming through the generations, to break that so that it would completely stop. Now, it was amazing. And what I want to say to you is, if there are addictions that you're having a hard time with in your life, that you've gone through psychotherapy, you've gone through the 12 steps, you've done this, and they just can't seem to stop, take a look and see if they might be generational. And if they're generational, go back. Go back and send the love to that person in that particular instance. Go back and get the information that you can. This is one of the reasons why we meditate. We don't meditate just to stop our mind. We meditate so that we can free our mind of the monkey mind, so that we can sit, and in our silence we actually can hear. We can actually hear what Spirit is saying to us, because Spirit knows no time and no space. And when we listen, listen and silent have the same exact letters except rearranged. And when we sit in this silent, we let the Godness penetrate our spirit. We let the Godness penetrate our being. We let the Godness heal our life. And just for today, know that I love you and know that you're capable of doing this. And I will see you live next Sunday.